It's now my honor to present to you the Outstanding Alumna for the College of Arts and Sciences for 2015, Betty Birney. Introducing Betty gives me a chance to say something that I rarely am able to say. When students and often their parents ask me, what can I do with a degree in English, or more broadly, a degree in the humanities? Typically I say, well, it won't prepare you for any particular profession. But what it will do is it will prepare you for every profession. It will prepare you to do anything you want to do, and it will prepare you to be a success in life. In this case, our outstanding alumna has certainly been a success in life, but she's also been prepared, we would like to think, by her English degree and her degree in the humanities for a particular profession, because Betty Birney has had a storied career as a storyteller. Betty grew up in St. Louis. She went to the Afton schools. I should insert here that her parents grew up as neighbors on a street named Humphrey Street. Keep that in mind. She went to Webster College, graduated in 1969, and then headed off west, where she got a job with Disney. She started off with Disney doing advertising, then she wrote commercials for TV and for radio, wrote theatrical trailers, moved her way up to episodic TV. She's written over 200 TV episodes. She's written TV movies. You may be familiar with the annually shown at Christmas time movie Merry Christmas, M-A-R-Y Christmas, written by her. Now for I think about 15 years in a row it's shown on TV. But she's most celebrated for a series of books that she's written aimed at 7 through 11-year-olds, featuring a plucky, adventuresome, sensible hamster who lives in a classroom named Humphrey. Remember that name, Humphrey? Connection back to her history with St. Louis. This book has been selected hundreds of times for the One School, One Book program throughout the English-speaking world, whereby the entire school, including the students, the teachers, the staff, and their families, read the book, and often Betty comes in and she meets the students and meets their families and talks to them about the book. And invariably, this experience of reading this book together in the school has a profound experience on those in the school community. And I will cite simply one example. This book, one of her books featuring Humphrey, was selected by the Sandy Hook School shortly after the massacre there, and it played an important effect in the healing that occurred in that community. As you might expect, Betty Birney has won many awards. I think perhaps most notably 3 times she's won the Humanitas Award, fittingly for a humanities graduate whose work has so much humanity in it. In addition to the Humanitas Awards, Betty has also been recognized with the prestigious Writers Guild of America Award, a Christopher Award, and a Daytime Emmy Award. As you receive your diploma today, you will also receive a copy of the book that started it all, The World According to Humphrey. But enough about that. I want you to hear about The World According to Betty Birney, and I'm delighted to introduce to you right now our outstanding alumna for 2015, Betty Birney. Betty?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dean Wilson. I'm honored and excited to be here today to celebrate the graduates of the College of Arts and Sciences and their families and friends. To all of you, I offer salutations and felicitations on this auspicious, propitious, consequential, memorable day. I just said that to dispel any suspicions you may have that children's book writers like me only use words of 1 syllable. I often use 2 or 3. It's an auspicious day for me as well, receiving outstanding alumna recognition from the College of Arts and Sciences. I'm extremely grateful because not all of us who spend our days making up stories are so honored. In fact, some people who make up stories end up in jail. So here's a story for you. Once upon a time, a long time ago, it was my Webster graduation day. All I really remember about the ceremony is sitting there listening for the sounds of silence. That was the Simon and Garfunkel hit that came from the soundtrack of the movie The Graduate, which had just come out. And it introduced an unknown actor named Dustin Hoffman as a confused grad. And that song, The Sounds of Silence, really felt like an anthem to us seniors. And we seriously lobbied the administration to play it at our graduation, but we didn't get any response. I'd already picked up my diploma and stood up to march out when I heard it. They were playing the sounds of silence, and we all felt quite triumphant. Once again, as had been the case so many times in my 4 years at Webster, the administration had listened. They listened. I walked away that day carrying my diploma, a brand new degree in English, a lot of knowledge about English literature, but I also carried some intangibles. I've forgotten a lot about Paradise Lost and James Joyce, but I did have the intangible lessons that stuck with me. And the biggest ones came from Sister Deborah Pearson. Yes, the real person that Pearson House is named for. Sister Deborah was a fabulous teacher, and she was the formidable head of the English department. During my freshman year at Webster, I kind of tried to stay low on the radar until one day when Sister Deborah stopped me in the first floor hallway at Webster Hall and said, "You have to go work on the school newspaper. They need you, and I want you to do that." I was kind of taken back, but she was a nun. She had authority. She was also head of the English department, and I was an English major. So I stepped out of my cozy comfort zone and I joined the school newspaper, which turned out to be one of the most rewarding things I did. I became an editor, and it was good on my beginning resume as well. One day in my senior year, I was summoned to Sister Deborah's office for a meeting. I couldn't imagine why, because I was getting top marks on all my papers and all my English classes. So being young and naive, I assumed she was calling me in to compliment me on my outstanding work. To my shock and surprise, I found myself sitting across the desk from Sister Deborah and her piercing Pearson eyes, and they were memorable eyes, and hearing her say, "Okay, we've established that you can write an A paper without any problem. Don't you think it's time for you to step up and pick a more challenging topic?" While part of me was thinking, "Well, what's the problem? I'm getting A pluses. What do you want, lady?" But a stronger part of me said, "Busted." Because that's how you feel when somebody speaks the truth that you don't want to hear. What she said was so striking and so true, it stuck with me the rest of my life. Okay, I was blessed with a natural ability to write papers, but it's not good enough to live up to the standards of others, your teachers, your parents, your bosses. You have to set your own expectations and set them high. And once you achieve your goals, you have to set the bar even higher. You have to reach. Throughout my career, when I've had to reach beyond my limitations, and that's been very often, time and time again, I heard Sister Deborah's words and saw her piercing Pearson eyes. I had a successful career in television for years, but when I wanted to move from TV to writing children's books because I wanted more control over my own creations, it proved to be a difficult leap. So I reached and reached and reached again. And out of my imagination came Humphrey, a small, determined hamster who reaches far beyond his limitations to do what he considers to be his job as a classroom pet, to help his fellow students in ways they could never imagine. I put into Humphrey the very best parts of me, and I left out all the bad bits. And I gave him Mrs. Brisbane, a serious, even stern but compassionate teacher who always tries to bring out the best in her students. I never mention her eyes in the books, but I'm sure they're piercing. There are now 15 Humphrey books out there and a dedicated international fan base of millions of young readers to whom I am eternally grateful. With each new book, I find myself having to reach and reach and reach to make a new, fresh, original story that these readers crave and deserve. Now, to end, I'm going to give away the ending of that story in the book that you're going to receive, The World According to Humphrey, where Humphrey reflects on his early days in room 26, scribbled in his secret notebook. Later that night, when the house was quiet, I thought about all I'd done in the months since I left Pedorama. I didn't know anything about the world then. Oh, but I've sure learned a lot. I can read and write, and I know all the state capitals. Just ask me. I learned you should never ever turn your back on a dog, and that it's a good idea to turn off the TV once in a while. I found out kids have problems, and so do teachers and principals. Sometimes all people need is a little encouragement. Most of all, I've learned that one small hamster can make a big difference. I decided to write down some of the things I've learned from my adventures, but there was just one line left in my notebook. So I thought, and then I scribbled down exactly what I felt deep in my hamster heart. Joy, joy, joy to the whole wide world, and that includes you. So to all of you who are graduating on this auspicious, propitious, momentous day, I hope you carry away fabulous intangibles along with your diplomas. I hope you reach and make a difference. And most of all, I wish you joy, joy, joy. Congratulations and thank you.